All right, folks, this is my review of RTX 4070, specifically the MSI Ventus 3X RTX 4070. Now, 3-fan model, super light. This one has one HDMI, 3 display ports, which is pretty common these days, PCIe 4.0, and then one PCIe power connector, right, to go to your power supply, 8-pin. No extra BIOS, so it's looks like it's single BIOS. So let's go ahead and see what I liked about it. Right, less power usage than comparative MSI 3080. You'll see some examples of gaming that I did in here. The RTX 4070 only has one PCIe 8-pin versus the 2 of RTX 3080s, which it has 2. Now, you could also throw in, might as well throw in a 3090 in there because you're going to see a little comparison of that. That's got 3x 8 pins in it, okay? At 1440p and 4K resolutions in Fortnite and World War Z, it used 100 watts less for the GPU, and this is compared to the 3080, all right? However, sometimes the i9 12900 KS CPU, which I used, would actually use more power. That was kind of interesting. So here we use less GPU, and the next thing you know, we're using more CPU power for the same settings. That's one thing, they don't really advertise. Now, I did have my CPU set to power limits unlimited, but still kind of interesting how that worked out. You're going to see how almost perfectly equal the FPS is between the 3080 and the 4070 in this, at least for the games I did. As noted, the 4070 is much lighter than the MSI 3080 that I have. I think a lot of that has to do with the massive heat sinks. They're both 3 fans. They're both pretty much the identical length. The 4070 takes up less space in your case, which should be nice, right? Performance comparative, fall between the 3080 and 3080 Ti, closer to the 3080, but there are occasionally places where the 4070 outdoes the 3080. The one I bought, very well built. Doesn't mean, if you go buy a Zotac or one of the other ones that it's going to be as well built. But this MSI one is pretty good quality. And, since I have where I sit and do my gaming videos, the exhaust off the GPU blows on me. They actually ran pretty cool from what I saw. And you can see some temps in the gaming videos, but as far as the exhausting heat onto me, it was not bad compared to some of the other cards I have, like a RTX 2080 Super or 2080 Ti. So, all right, what didn't I like about it? The price tag, I think, kind of sucks at this point. I think should have been priced about $499. So, these are $599 up, and I just so happened to pick up what would be one of the cheapest ones at $599, but I feel like it would have been a steal at $499. Like, you would have to go buy this card for the value. But at $599, there's also 3080s out there. And over time, the electric that you use, the 4070 probably is going to save you money in the long run. But you could probably pick up a used 3080 out there for cheaper. I believe the 3080s are running more expensive if you were to look at buying it. So between the two, the 4070 is definitely the better deal. Now, looking at some other stuff, some videos that I saw on YouTube for some games, the 16 gigs of VRAM in the RTX 6950 XT is a better deal. Higher resolutions and can be bought for $649. However, you'll see I have the 7900 XTX, which is superior to this in In some games, there's really not as wide a separation between the two. So that makes the 6950 spending the extra $50 not necessarily worth it. But there are places where it would be. Now, RTX 4070 Ti to me has felt like a better deal. I'm not sure why I didn't buy it. Performance could be 20% better and puts you in that same RTX 3090 Ti level performance, right? So sometimes better than that. Some coil whine with this, not too bad. I think if you put it in the case, you're not really going to hear it. Nothing like the Hellbound RX 7900 XTX that I bought, it's kind of unbearable. Very tempting to send it back, but this video is not about that card. So this can be a 4K gaming card. I think there are better options out there, but honestly, from the couple examples I have, it's not that far off from the 3090. So it can do it. It's just a matter of, hey, if I have a 4K 120 hertz TV or monitor, a lot of those games you're not going to get to take advantage of that 120 hertz refresh rate. Definitely not for 8K, though I think if you ran at a lower quality, you could probably get by. Now, looking at gaming performance, the computer I used, or the setup I used, was i9 12900KS, no OC, power limit set to unlimited. We had the Thermalright Frost Commander 140 CPU cooler on it. RAM was 5200 megahertz DDR5, 32 gigs. And the power supply was a modular EVGA bronze. We used the Era Z690 Ultra D5, which is currently my favorite motherboard. I've got some Z790s, but I have a Z790 and I have a bunch of other Z690s, but that one is definitely my favorite. So, jumping over to the left, Fortnite 4K competitive, which doesn't necessarily take advantage of all of the higher quality, right? Only view distance and detail are set to epic. The rest of it's at lower settings, but this is, honestly one of my favorite settings. And depending on the graphics card, and using the 4K 120 hertz monitor, these actually all fall in great for that. This is honestly my favorite setting in 4K. Now, not that many people that I know of, say this is my favorite because they'll use performance low, or they'll use maybe 1440p competitive or 1080p competitive, but definitely have an advantage at this. I mean, I finish first quite often, but not as much as I do when I have this setting, right? So it's more likely that I might pull off a back-to-back first place, or first, second in games, and usually always a top 10 finish, unless I totally screw up. So favorite setting. But getting back to this, RTX 4070, ever so slightly better than a 3080 here, okay? The thing is, though, both these games, I played them out to almost 20 minutes apiece, and they weren't, I didn't use replay mode. Replay mode is honestly not dependable, not consistent. So these are 3 unique games. So honestly, this is a tie. Yeah, it says this is higher, but they're neck and neck. The 3090, obviously, it's a superior card. Now, I didn't go back and show what the power usage was on these. Maybe, if I update this a second time, we'll do that on this one, but a lot more power. These, and you'll see below, normally, keeping it under 200, but I have seen a game where the 4070 will put out 300, and then the 3080 definitely will go up to 300 watts used. So you know, significantly more power to get another 33% performance boost on at least on this game. World War Z 1080p high. I did not do the 3090 for this, but you see the 4070. In this case, the 4070 kicked its butt. All right, whatever that is, 5%. So that's at least the 1080p. Hey, 4070 was better. Now World War Z 1440p high. Exactly the same, right? Even the power usage, which is really odd that the 4070 used this much power. This is the only place where it actually used that much power. And I had to look, twice, a third time. I'm like, yep, that is the 4070 plugged in. So pretty much a tie here. But you see the 3090 is about 16% greater. All right. Uses significantly more power. Call of Duty Cold War 4K high. I think too many people run at this resolution and probably should have did 1440p, but I really wanted to see what we'd get out of 4K. And this, not ideal. Kicking this down to 1440p high would be better. But you can see 4070, 3080, they ended up with the same exact FPS. The 3090 slightly edged out the XTX, but it definitely was at least 20%, somewhere between 15 and 20% greater than the 4070, all right? And then the XTX, considering what a 3090 goes for new, even now, the XTX is definitely a better deal. No idea what the power usage is. It would not register through MSI Afterburner. And you see the power usage, the 4070, definitely better. This is one of those games, though, where if I could pull it up, you would see that the CPU actually on the 4070 uses more power, I believe, than the 3080. I think this was the game. Seeing the prices, what I paid. This is what I paid, okay? So $599 for the 4070. Back in the day, I got the 3080 MSI 1200, and then the 3090 during the height of the mining times 2500. And a month and a half ago, the XTX 7900 XTX for $1,000. What looks like the best deal out of this, folks? I didn't have any other games with the XTX. Maybe I'll go back and do that so you guys can see in the next revision of this. But you can definitely tell that this is, probably a better deal than the 3090 is right now. Well, thanks for checking out the video, folks. Please like, please subscribe. Thank you.